Maximum News. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host Sybsidian, and we are here to bring you gaming news as we always do we try to do the show without doing any long intros right off the top. Let's just get right into it. Y'all are here to hear our thoughts on The Last of Us, obviously. Only 2 more weeks where we do this week and then next week, and then you won't have to hear us do this for another 2 years for the people that don't care about The Last of Us. But we're going to talk about this really quick, and then we'll get into all the regular gaming news. Episode 8. Out of the 8 episodes we've gotten so far, I think this might be my 3rd or 4th favorite. I'm trying to decide whether or not I like it more or less than episode 3. That up until this past week, episode 3 was my 3rd favorite. That's the one with Bill and Frank. Just keep in mind though, like aside from 1 or 2 of the episodes, every episode that I've seen so far on the whole is like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. So basically, this episode that we just got this past week is a 9 out of 10 with a couple of 10 out of 10 moments throughout. So for people that, like, I'm going to speak in codes, as I usually do, to people that have played the game and know what happens and be clear to them while also being clear to people who have not played or watched the show and don't want to be spoiled, okay? This week, it focuses on the section of the game where you play as Ellie, the brief part during the winter section, and when she encounters the character of David. Syb, this episode hinges entirely on the performances and the story of David and Ellie and their interplay, and they build upon the character of David and Ellie's interaction with him from the game in brutally shocking ways. So much so that once again, when the end of the episode came and we saw Ellie's reaction to everything that she'd had to go through with the character of David, with the characters that are surrounding him, it made your heart split in two. Not just because of what the content of what she had to go through, but also because you know what path she's going to go down. And I know, like, Syb, when I say that, Syb's like, oh, you mean like what happens in the second game and how it totally messes everything up? No, but you know, just from a purely emotional humanitarian standpoint, just knowing the darkness that Ellie has in store for her, it added on top of that in a very, very positive way. David was excellent. Troy Baker, Syb, I didn't think he would have that big of a role. I thought he would just be like a minion of David's that would just speak once or twice in the episode. But no, he had a huge part. And to people that don't know anything about the game, Troy Baker, he plays the character of James, I think his name is. Troy Baker, he's the guy who does the voice of Joel in the game. And he has a really, really big role in this episode. And Syb, he killed it. He did a really, really good job. He was terrifying. Let's see what else. A couple of really shocking images in this episode, like really not having to do with the, well, I don't want to say because that might be a spoiler actually. All right, I'll step back from that. So my top 4 favorite episodes are the first one, the 4th one with, no wait, is it the 4th one? No, the 5th one with Henry and Sam, the one with Bill and Frank, and then this one. All of them are 9 to 10 out of 10s for me. And that's largely because with all those episodes, there isn't really anything that I actively dislike about any of them. And the same applies for this. The reason why, though, it's at sort of the 4th spot for me is because while it did everything fantastic, it didn't do it as fantastic as those other 3 episodes. Plus, seriously, the character of David, if they just added like as little as 5, maybe 10 more minutes onto this episode to really get us engorged with this character and really try to understand his mindset, he could have been one of the best villains that we've had in TV in a long time. I know that might sound like hyperbole, but that's something that I genuinely feel. And I think that by limiting it to about 50 minutes, it prevented this episode from being something that could have been truly legendary. But on the whole, it still ended up being fantastic. So not that big of a deal, but whatever. So that's my review for episode 8. Episode 9 comes out next week, and then we have to wait 2 years to see how they, if they manage to repair the stuff that happened in The Last of Us Part 2, in my opinion. Syb, did you happen to watch it?
Not yet. I'm still behind, a little bit behind because I'm trying to also catch Picard at the same time, season 3, which
Yeah.
we reviewed season 1 of that show, and it was a very overall just a huge disappointment. Um, but and then season 2, I would say was meh. It was a little bit more on point for what you as a fan would be expecting.
Yeah.
But this third season's been really good so far.
That's what I've heard.
Really, it's been I wish they had started with this, and all the time that was lost it's very disappointing. But yeah, it's it's looking a lot better. So yeah, been busy. We had a couple other things going on too. So I think I'm only up to about 4 or 5 now.
Okay.
So,
yeah, you got some good episodes ahead of you.
Yeah.
But by the way, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Just Ron Swanson. That's all I could think about.
I gotta watch Parks and Rec so I can see what the heck you're talking about when you say that. By the way, thanks for bringing up Picard. I gotta get in contact with. Do you remember? This is for people that are OG fans of Maximum News. Do you remember Black Pencil Ninja? When we did that, he's a huge fan of Star Trek. I gotta ask him what he thinks of season 3. Anyways, did you guys happen to watch episode 8 yet? Let us know what your thoughts are down below. Are you loving it? Are you hating it? Or whatever the case may be, just as long as you put your thoughts forward in a calm and constructive manner, we would love to hear from you in the comment section below. All right, with that out of the way, let's move on to some of the core gaming news. Side. One of the games that was on my top 10 list for games coming out in 2023 is Wolong Fallen Dynasty. If I recall correctly, when we did our show at the end of last year, when we did our top 10 most anticipated, I think it was at number 7 or 8. And, all the obvious stuff is ahead of that. You got Starfield, you got Spider-Man, you got Resident Evil Remake, stuff like that. But I was really looking forward to Wolong because it was made by Team Ninja. And Team Ninja is quite famous for the Neo games, the Japanese Soulsborne-like games. I got into playing Neo 2 a lot in the past year with she was my fiance. And we played a crap ton of it, and it was so much fun. It's not as sophisticated and big as the From Software games, the people that make Dark Souls and Bloodborne. But it was very much competent in its own right, doing things slightly differently in a bunch of different ways. It had really interesting combat where, how with these games there's a stamina meter. With Neo 2, I'm not sure if this is true for Neo 1, but Neo 2, when you attack somebody, you have to time a button press just right in order to get your stamina back. And it felt really nice. It felt like the combat was sort of a dance more than just X, 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 or square, 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 and then dodge and then repeat, right? So it was really good and had so much fun with it that I was really curious to see what they would do putting it into a Chinese setting, because Neo is set in Japan, and what improvements they would do from Neo 2. Well, it came out on the 3rd. It's been 3 days since it released. We're recording this on the 6th. I've had the chance to play a lot of it because even though I was looking forward to it, my fiance, she's huge into Chinese mythology. She really wanted to play it with me, and we played a crap ton of it the last few days. I am happy to say that the game is great. It is really, really good. It does, like I said, with Neo 2 in regards to other Soulsborne games where it changes a few things. Wolong coming from Neo 2, it changes a couple things as well to divvy up the formula, but not changing too much. And a lot of those changes are really, really welcome. A lot of it will feel familiar to people who have played Neo 2. It's the same structure of environments, the same types of music, the same kind of type of story where it's Japanese history, except here it's Chinese, while trying to inject a heavy dose of the supernatural. A lot of that is very familiar. And whether or not it pays off for people that aren't fans of Neo, I have yet to see, but I can say for people that have played Neo, they'll feel right at home. A couple things though that I think will be hard for a lot of people to deny, especially people that are fans of the Souls genre, is the combat. Sybe, the combat in this game feels fantastic. And I'm saying that as somebody who had a really hard time getting into a game like Sekiro, where you had to really pay close attention to parrying and timing your parries. Wolong is sort of like an easier version of that. Not so much easier where it feels like it's holding your hand, because it's certainly not doing that. But it feels rewarding. It takes about an hour for you to get used to. But when you do, it gets really, really addictive. Like I'm itching to go back and play it right now, and I will be as soon as we're done playing this, recording this podcast. It's really, really well done, and it's definitely better than it was in Neo 2. In fact, so much so that I don't know if I'm how willing I'll be to go back and play Neo 2, because that's how much I prefer it. Let's see what else. Yeah, there are a few things that I do have some problems with, but they're not problems that I think are going to affect most people. So for people that have played Neo 2, you will remember that there was a crap ton of loot, like an ungodly amount of loot that you will never do anything with. It's the same thing for this. It carries over again. So if you really were annoyed by that in Neo 2, it's worse here, to be honest. But it's, I sort of just got over it and went along with that. There are a couple of other things. Graphical problems. I played on the PlayStation 5. While it looks pretty good playing in 60 frames per second performance mode, there are times where you'll be in a certain level and some of the shadows on the characters look really, really ugly. But for the most part, the art direction and the construction of the worlds looks so pretty that you don't really care. One thing, though, that is really, really bad is the AI. It's oh my god, just thinking about it right now. Thank God I'm playing this with my fiance, because some of the AI is just the worst that I've ever had in a game. I got so mad so there's this one character that you can bring along with you on your quests, who's an actual historical figure named Xiao Xiao. However, in the English translation, there was one character that pronounced it as Chow Chow, so it's like bye-bye in Italian. And so whenever he did something to piss me off, I would call him Chow Chow, which would really piss off my fiance, because I'm mispronouncing it just because I'm mad at him, and she's a huge fan of Chinese mythology, right? But yeah, right. That's the one major thing. But
that's hilarious.
Yes, I mean, she wasn't really pissed off.
I just mispronounce things all the time, and Mooney just she'd given up a long time ago trying to teach me proper pronunciation.
Right. Yes, well, maybe don't play this with her, because that might grate against her temperament. But aside from that, really in-depth customization, really cool lore, and anybody who knows anything about me and the stuff I cover on my channel, I like to talk a lot about alchemy. The allusions to Chinese alchemy in this are fantastic. They're really, really cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all the positives and negatives that I can come up with. On the whole, I'd probably give this game like a 8 to an 8.5 out of 10, because the core things about it are there and they're well refined. It is rough around the edges in some of those respects, like I said, but I do think it is worth your time if you are a fan of the Souls genre. It might not be a good place to get into the genre, because I think it might be too hard, especially for the first level, which probably has one of the hardest first bosses in a Souls game that I've ever seen. But if you are a fan like I am, I would highly recommend picking this up. Just don't get it on PC, because there's a lot of issues with that port right now. Sai, do you have any interest in getting this game?
No, not currently, due to how it is running on the PC. Everything that you have said is true as far as I can see from all of the very many reviews on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to the PC, that is a completely different story. Yeah. I watched a couple of reviews. I watched a couple of people play it. and I think the overall reaction so far by a lot of the streamers is doggy doo doo.
Yes.
To put it like nicely, doggy doo doo, and that's me assuming that you can read subtext. It is mostly negative, mostly extremely negative on Steam, and it's just amazing that we have this kind of difference again, just due to the fact of how they optimized it, how they key mapped it, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't give people the option to map their own keys. I don't know what backward world you have to be in to not allow people to remap their key binding. I don't understand why this is the case, and it's like this for, it's not just these developers or this particular type of game. No, it's all
a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just was playing Company of Heroes 1, and I noticed that in Company of Heroes 1, you cannot remap keys to save your life. You can do that in number 3. I did test that in the beta and was pretty happy with that. But just overall, not key mapping is something that so many studios just take totally for granted. And it's like, I think one of the worst ones was the one where you had to press Z and P at the same time to do some action.
Okay.
And it's like, you do understand those keys on a standard keyboard are on the far sides of the keyboard.
Yeah. Not everybody can have giant hands like I do.
It's seriously messed up. Like, it's seriously messed up. As to why, again, it's not just these guys. It's many people, many companies have the the same issue of not doing that, and then not optimizing things either, which is a shame. But it can have. There's many other reasons for that, right? Like, there's hundreds of different video cards out there, different processors, memory, and all that kind of stuff. They come together. It's not easy. I know it's not easy optimizing games for the PC, but how on earth they managed to put this out in this state?
Yeah.
And this I just want to quickly throw this back to Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 says that we are happy with where the game is performing and where it's at on the PlayStation, but we are not that same level of happiness with the Xbox. There may be a delay. We are not announcing the release date for the Xbox because of that. It is coming to the Xbox, and at most it'll be maybe like a few weeks behind. But we want to make sure that we don't end up with this scenario.
Yeah.
And this is very important for people to remember. It's like, some of these companies, they actually do care about whether you perform, what your performance is. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes that means, like, pointless delay. But is it best to, like, do you hold it over for from two of the platforms and to wait for the third one to line up, or do you just go with that third one? Like, that's kind of an important thing. So yeah, just a bunch of this news is very common, is very, like, this is all common issues. And it sucks.
It's so weirdly prevalent. Like, I don't understand. Yeah. I want to know. I guess I should have looked this up before we started. I wonder if they did the PC optimization in-house, or if they sent it to another company, which is what a lot of companies do, particularly the ones that usually make games specifically for the consoles. I wouldn't be surprised if this got outsourced, but I'd have to check that. Somebody let me know in the comments below. But yeah, if you're playing on PS5 or Xbox, I would definitely recommend picking it up. All right, Syb, I feel like I talked a lot for the first two topics here. Do you want to do the paradox thing next?
Sure. So yeah, okay. We'll talk about. So if you were waiting for the paradox stream today from us, we did not end up covering it because at the sort of like the last moment, A bunch of things didn't come together, and then we also had the fear because I was being told that this was not cleared for co-streaming as far as licensed music goes. And we all know what happens when licensed music kicks in. Sometimes they just automatically deal a strike to you. So there was some issues with wanting to like avoid that. So instead, we just watched it in the Discord, and it was interesting. It was how best to say this. The presenters all, and this is not an insult. This is never an insult ever. This is never an insult. English was probably their third or fourth language, and again, not an insult because there's like it's very important to be able to speak more than one language. However, you could tell that they were having some difficulty reading the prompter or remembering what they were supposed to say. There was some very awkward moments of silences, and there was more than one occasion where the people looked a little like they were, this was the first time in front of a major camera, and they were kind of like having a panic attack. So that I want to lovingly point out is not the main point of a game showcase, because you're not there for the presenters or for the CEOs or for these other people. I do wish that they would learn how to like find appropriate talent who is good in front of a microphone and then just keep them in front of it. Pick some of your best like content creators who cover this stuff and just have them like bullet point it for you. It would probably be a lot easier. And when I say content creators, I mean people who regularly do this kind of content, like the presentation of like, something, not the you remember that one guy at the EA Awards where he got up and he completely flubbed his line because he's a rapper, singer / like, I think he dated Britney Spears or something like that.
Really?
Like those aren't the people you want doing your thing. You want your diehard fans who are making content monthly, like streaming content, like streaming your game monthly, and who know the game better than you do. You want those kinds of people on it. But those are my only nitpickings, because the show was actually full of a decent amount of gameplay, nice trailers that were focused in the importances of what the game had, but then immediately went into gameplay. So there wasn't a super ton. We have obviously we've got Stellaris, the Overlord, and First Contact species pack that's coming out very, very soon. They touched on that. They touched on Life by You, which was teased, which looked a lot like The Sims. And it looked like, in my opinion, a much better Sims. So that's Paradox clearly stepping up to the plate to throw their gauntlet into the ring for the life sim games, and those are huge games. They're always so popular. Then we had this. I love this game. It's so cute and so funny. And again, another example of what D&D should have been doing, which is Knights of Pen and Paper 2, which is a hilarious, like, cute little game where there's a table. You got a bunch of like people wearing obviously like, crazy hats and stuff like that, and they are D&D players sitting around a table. But then the table moves through the campaign as the DM talks about the things that happens, and then introduces you to the combat scenarios that happen. And all the while, the characters are sitting on chairs at the table, and they're doing their attacks and stuff like that. And then the attacks hit them, and it's just very cute. It's very adorable. I think this is great. I think this is something that, again, I ask, where was D&D? Where was Wizards of the Coast? Why did they not focus on this? Why did they not make this? Why did they not do something similar to this ages and ages ago, like 20 years ago? Like, good lord, it's just because this is in like old pixel art, and it's just it's very cute, but it's very straightforward. Surviving the Aftermath got an expansion release. So Moon loves this game. She really enjoys the Frostpunk slash, get humanity against all odds kind of thing. She's got the space one too, where you're in this giant space station. And you got like a generational ship, and you got to keep it going too. These are great games, and these are they got solid announcements, looking good. The gameplay looks decent, very clean cut. Europa Universalis 4 Domination expansion revealed. That looks very, very exciting. One of the big new announcements is a game called Lamplighters League, which is a tactical turn-based strategy game with live real-time sections in it. So you're running around and able to like kind of set up the board a little bit and kind of wait until all the enemies are in an area. And I do love the tagline for this. All the best of the best were all taken out by this mysterious cabal. And so now you have to rely on the best of the worst. And so you've got, people who are clearly in it for themselves, people that you couldn't really trust, but they're all banding together to stop this. It's like, so the year premise in this is really cool. It's set in the 1930s. You're fighting what looks like World War II bad guy types, or like the prelude to them. And there's a cult that's trying to take over all the magic stuff in the world and reboot the world with magic. Such a cool concept. Like, this is so cool, and very like, I really enjoyed The Mummy, like the original, the first one. Like, I always thought it was a decently good movie.
Oh, the one with
it's
Brendan Fraser?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Think that in turn-based combat slash like puzzler. Looks like a ton of fun. I definitely put it on my wish list right away, because this honestly looks like a lot of fun, and it looks like it's got lots of potential for growth and mods and stuff like that. Nice. And then to top it off, we got last two is Crusader Kings 3 getting another huge expansion, tours and tournaments, plus the ability to, if you're going on a tour and a tournament, that means you're not at home taking care of your kingdom, and that means you got to put somebody in charge of your kingdom. And maybe when you come back, maybe the king, the regent isn't quite happy to see you come back and take all his power away. So maybe there's some cloak and dagger stuff that might happen there with that. Or you can play, again, because Stellaris games are amazing like this, or you can play as a regent while your lord goes off on a tour and try to undermine the kingdom and take it out from under his nose while he's gone. So amazing. The perspective of play, the options that you have. Again, this game's got so much to it. It's so deep. I haven't played it, but I've seen people play it, and I keep up on the mods a little bit for it. And the mods are for this game are absolutely massive. Just really, really good. Looks really solid. Crusader Kings 3. And then the big announcement. This was their big one. This was the big thing. Cities Skylines 2. That's right, because it's always so weird how they named it. Cities Skyline 2. I always want to say Skyline Cities, but yeah, no. Cities Skylines has announced their second game, which is coming out. They had a great trailer for it. They had showcasing lots of really cool content as far as like where they want to take it and what they want to improve. And one of my first like hardcore games was SimCity. So I've always got a place in my heart for the idea of the city builders, because it's such a it's really good. And I remember that I remember myself and one of my friends growing up, we learned more about economics from playing SimCity than we did from like any economics class that we attended in both high school and college, which is like mind blowing.
Don't let anybody tell you that games don't have educational value. I learned more about philosophy from playing Planescape Torment. I did it in a philosophy class in school, so yeah. Sorry.
I know, and I've looked at city maps a lot, actually. And every once in a while, I'll scroll over to like the really bad cities that have just like fallen apart. And it's like, who designed this city? Like, you've got like just enormous sections of like residential housing with no like, no businesses, no like, nothing for the people to go work at, no parks, stuff like that, where it's like, well, no wonder everything turns into a slum. It's like 101 thinking. So yeah, it's something that, again, like this game, I really recommend if you want to find a good game for your kids to play. Start them, like give them the option to play some of these kinds of games, because these kind of like what I would say like baseline kind of like educational games like city skylines. Keep wanting to say skyline cities. Uh, it's just really good for a young mind to like experiment and grow, because they end up thinking outside the box and stuff like that, and like learning new things. So yeah, overall, great show as far as game content goes. Very cringy, but that's not new, and nor is it something to hate on people for. So I think it was a pretty good success. We were kind of hoping that Xbox would do some kind of announcement.
Yeah.
During this or after this, going, hey, tune in next week for, I don't know, maybe a Starfield showcase. That would be cool, but no. And do you want me to segue to that right now?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay,
wait, hold on. Sorry, actually, just before you do, I gotta just say one quick thing. Dude, I might have to pick up this City Skylines thing. I've heard like people play. I've heard the name, and I've seen people on my Discord friends list like playing City Skylines, like the little subtitle there. But I didn't know anything about it until like I heard you talk about Paradox. I watched a trailer. Dude, this crap is being made with Unreal Engine 5. So what you're telling me is that I'm going to be able to play this game like it was the Matrix Awakens demo, but I can actually construct the city myself. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm seriously, I think that there is, I hate Epic for the BS that they did with with their store shop, and I still have qualms about that, but their engine is amazing. And one of the things that I think would be possible is for people to build these gorgeous, beautiful cities in Unreal 5 and then port them, like get them to be used in other games, like obviously with permission and whatnot. But like imagine building a city, like a full-on city, and then just like having like a GTA type experience where you just kind of load into it and just like free roam in the city.
Oh, that would be the
like
best.
So cool.
Yeah. And given where technology is at right now, I wouldn't put it past the gaming industry to provide us with something like that within the next decade. All right, sorry. Yes, Bethesda. What's going on?
So so Bethesda was, again, all this rumor last week was nonstop. Announcements. But as I covered on the Thursday show on the main channel, that was looking a lot like it wasn't like Thursday already noon. It hadn't happened. I wasn't expecting it to hit on Friday because that's where news goes to die. Again, we were expecting that they would make an announcement today. Preferably, like if they had made an announcement directly after that showcase, it would have been about noontime. That would have been great for the news cycle. That would have hit Tuesday just fine. Wednesday, amazing, right? Go on through the whole week, get everybody hyped for this, supposed announcement for the Starfield announcement. But no, we don't got that, and because it's already missed the Monday, if it doesn't show up by like noon tomorrow, again, I'll say that I don't think we're getting it, which again, a lot of people are kind of getting a little doomery going, what's the point of waiting for this? Are we even going to get this? Like, is this even going to happen at this point? Like, do we expect this to to happen? I don't think so. Not at this point. So yeah, some people getting a little choked, getting a little doomery, getting a little, end of timesy kind of thing with Bethesda. But ladies and gentlemen, there is some news to report about Starfield.
Yes.
And that is that Bethesda has officially and publicly updated their website.
Ooh. Is there like something in the source code that takes us to a secret start? Oh, okay.
No, they didn't even add anything new. They just rearranged a bunch of stuff and added like one or two videos that had been released on like the YouTube but hadn't been released there yet. Yeah. Bye. That's it. That's all that happened. People still were freaking out, going, "Oh my goodness, something's happening." And I'm just sitting there like trying not to laugh because I feel so sorry for them. I feel so bad, going, "Oh, but guys, it's not actually, there's nothing actually happening." I hate this. Trust me, I hate this more. I don't want this. I want to know more about this game. I want to be able to look at it, get some good info on it, start to theory craft, like all that kind of stuff, because it looks so good from the outset, and there's still nothing, and it's very frustrating. But yeah, so some people lost their stuff. I'll mention this too. Somebody put out that the game stores, the physical game stores, got an update for a particular title that's releasing this year. But again, that's could literally be anything. But the way that it kind of came in, it did kind of look a little bit like a Bethesda thing, even though there's no identifiers on it. Again, please, just take that stuff with a grain of salt whenever you kind of hear that. Trust me, I've been there. It's not actually good to over focus on stuff like that.
There's no there.
Yeah. Not at the moment. But overall, still this game is coming. Obviously, things are taking a while. Longer than anybody would like, obviously.
I'd say give it another couple weeks, and if we don't hear anything over the next 2 weeks, then maybe start to get worried. But yeah, until then, let's just anticipate that this is sort of in line with Todd Howard's playbook, which is I'll reveal it. Why did I instinctually feel the need to do his voice? He will reveal it when it's a month out or something like that, and then everything will be fine. But just try not to panic. Okay, got a couple more stories. I can't believe I almost forgot to include this. Syb, there's a Dead by Daylight movie coming. Yes, and this is confirmed, by the way. This is from Variety, so it's not I don't know, some random guy just saying, "Oh, I claim to have heard this from some random source that you'd never heard of." This is from one of the major trades, Variety. They're saying that what is it? James Wan's production company. James Wan is the guy who directed Aquaman. He's also the guy who directed a whole bunch of really popular horror franchises, The Conjuring, Insidious, and of course the first Saw. His production company is partnering with Blumhouse, who are also pretty huge right now in regards to horror filmmaking. The most recent movie they did was Megan. They also did the fantastic The Invisible Man remake, which was written by the same guy who wrote the first Saw, if I recall correctly, and a whole bunch of other popular horror movies that have come out. They're partnering together with Behavior Interactive, the guys who made Dead by Daylight, to produce the movie. Now, this is just announced that the partnership has happened. There's no screenwriter, there's no director, at least none that have been announced yet. They're just saying, hey, we're going to take this IP and turn it into a movie. I've played a lot of Dead by Daylight. This is kind of, how are they going to do this? Are they just going to, sorry if I'm stumbling over my words. So for people who have never played Dead by Daylight, it's really simple concept. You're one of 4 survivors going up against a killer. And in order to escape the killer, you have to run around a map and you have to repair 5 generators, which will open a door, which will allow you to escape the killer. That's what it is. And it's very, very popular. I've played a lot of it. I enjoy it. It's weirdly relaxing. But that doesn't sound like something that you can necessarily make a movie out of. But then again, they are doing a movie about Mario, and we'll see how that turns out. Maybe there could be something cool here if they were to take all the villains that are in that game and sort of make a multiverse type of horror movie. That could be really creative. But then it's like, how are you going to get the rights to include characters like Pyramid Head, Michael Myers? I don't think they can, right?
Here's my thought on what they're going to do, because they do have, I know they have Michael Myers, and I know they have 1 or 2 other like horror type characters.
Yeah.
What they could pitch is to literally do a gamified movie, like a gamified movie version of like the standard like horror movie. So it's full of all the like the normal tropes, right, that you get, and all the stuff that you kind of like normally like you laugh at, you kind of roll your eyes at.
Right.
But they're doing this. They would be doing this in the for the express purpose of kind of making a game in which you kind of laugh at, right? You kind of laugh at and roll your eyes, but that's the actual like premise, right? That might be what they're going for.
Yeah, that could work.
And so kind of like the what was that one with was it Real Guy? No.
Free Guy.
Free Guy.
Yeah.
So kind of like doing a version or a thing like that, where they have the horror game. Like it's I don't know. Like I think that there's a way for them to make it good, but I'm most certainly not going to cross my fingers for it.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts on it. It's like horror movies just in general like really annoy me, like really heavily annoy me, because it's like person's running through an empty field. They've got 40 meters on all sides of them that's completely clear. They stop. They bend down. They take a breath. They stand back up again. Oh no, the killer has somehow magically teleported behind them.
Right. It's very, yeah.
I hate that. I hate that. And I hate horror movies that don't stick to their own rules. Like the one that gets me the worst is Freddy Krueger. It's like Freddy has a list of rules that he's able to haunt by, because he's a apparition, he's a spirit. It's like they have to have some kind of like set rule. If you're going for that, if you're going for like no rules, then everybody gets no rules. But they have these rules that he's supposed to like haunt by, but then he breaks them in every single movie.
Yeah.
And they're broken for plot, nothing more. And it's like, I hate that kind of writing where it's like,
it's lazy.
All right, this is happening, but it's just lazy writing. And you're like, you roll your eyes, you go, guys, we could be having a really good experience right now that like really lays things down and like has like deeper, stuff behind it. And I always think that kind of stuff is better.
Yeah, I hate those types of horror movies too, dude. That's why I'm very selective about the ones that I tend to watch. But speaking of Blumhouse, like I said, The Invisible Man, did you ever see that one?
Which one?
The most recent one, the one that came out like right before the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay, so the one... No, I didn't see that one.
Okay,
I've seen all 7 of the other ones.
Oh, crap.
I want to say.
Yeah. Well, no, the most recent one is actually fantastic, and it completely avoids all those tropes. Plus, so like having Blumhouse plus James Wan, who really do understand horror, having them on as producers and selecting the screenwriters and using this IP to maybe build up a franchise on top of it, I think they can do it, just as long as they maybe lean sort of into the multiverse element of it. Because if they don't and they just use the characters that are unique to Dead by Daylight, I don't know how they would make that stand out from any other horror movie, which, I don't know, maybe that's just what they want to go for, but I think they would be missing the potential that comes along with that IP. Anyways, I'm curious, but I'm not crossing my fingers about anything until I see more information, which probably will be like a year or two out. All right, and finally, maybe we should have ended on the Dead by Daylight thing, because this one's kind of sad. Square Enix CEO, good news, he's out! Woohoo! The guy who has been pushing blockchain technology, NFTs, putting it all into games, screwing over Platinum Games and the whole Babylon's Fall thing, making all
forcing devs to make games that they don't actually want to make.
Yeah, selling off the IPs for Deus Ex and Legacy of Kain and Tomb Raider at a dirt cheap price because that's how much they value those legendary IPs. Well, he's out, right? And you would think they'd be a lot more happy about that, but who are they replacing him with? Well, a guy that is still into virtually all those things.
Even harder into this, because that's how you're gonna make money. You didn't build, you built Square Enix on the backs of people who were pushing dumb, bad, very ludicrous microtransactions and aggressively going after people's wallets without offering actual content or support or even customer service. Oh, wait, no, that is how you built the company.
Right.
Why would you change it to do something else? Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. It's like you're intentionally bashing your head into the wall over and over and over and over again. Oh, gee, I wonder how that happened.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know how to phrase this. It's a wonder these idiots fail upward like they do.
It's because they own Final Fantasy, man.
It's genuinely frightening how idiotic and stupid these people can be, and just they expect to be rewarded with promotions upward from making just the dumb, most worst decisions ever. It's very annoying and it's very stupid.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're so lucky that I love the Final Fantasy franchise so much that I'm willing to give Final Fantasy IX Remake a shot when and if that gets announced. But even now, even though I probably will end up checking out Final Fantasy 16, I'm not excited for it. Yeah, just because of all these decisions and how Forspoken turned out. I just have to hope that because it is Final Fantasy that they're going to put some effort into it. But I mean, look how Final Fantasy 15 turned out, right? It's sad. Hopefully, I hate to say this, but I think the best situation that we can hope for is that they reap the deficits that come along with making these decisions sooner rather than later, so that way they have to sell off all their IPs and give them to companies that can actually do really, really cool stuff with them. Yeah. Although I don't envision a future where that will ever happen, because Final Fantasy is just such a profitable franchise for them that they can afford, like you said, to do all this stupid crap. Anyways, and yeah, I'm curious about Final Fantasy VII Remake too. Well, sorry, should have made that the second last story and then ended on Dead by Daylight, but...
Well, let's end on this because this is pretty funny.
Okay.
How many Invisible Man movies have there been?
8?
Way too low.
Oh, 16.
Absolutely. I probably gave that away. There has been 16. That's 1/6 Invisible Man movies.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, this includes things that are not, air quotes, the Invisible Man. There is, in fact, Invisible Mom 1 and 2. And an Invisible Dad. Yep. That is a thing. That is a thing.
I haven't heard about any of this. So I guess there was a period of time when, I mean, it shouldn't be surprising to us because there was a time when Hollywood studios milked these horror IPs for all they were worth. Like there's like a million Friday the 13th movies, right? Children of the Corn. Like Children of the Corn. How did that movie franchise get 10 movies? The first one wasn't even good.
It's unbelievable what happens when movies get greenlit for straight to DVD release or straight to VHS release or straight to whatever release. I'll go through a couple of the names because these are kind of interesting. The Invisible Kid, 1988. The Amazing Transparent Man, 1960s. The Hollow Man 1 and 2, obviously. Memories of an Invisible Man, that's 1992. The Invisible Man's Revenge, 1944. The Invisible Agent, 1942. One of the few anti World War II bad guy movies that happened during World War II. Did you know that there was only like 5 of them? That's kind of crazy. Also, Hollywood, full of hypocrites. The Invisible Woman, 1940. The Invisible Maniac, 1990s. Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, 1951. The Hollow Man, of course, number 1. The Invisible Man Returns. The Invisible Man, that's the first one in 1933. And then, of course, The Invisible Man 2020.
I just thought, you know what would be a great way to break the entire Dead by Daylight online experience? Make one of the killers the Invisible Man. Yeah. All right. Just to bring things back to a lighter note. Anyways, guys, that does it for this week in video game news. I want to thank Syb, as always, for doing the show with me. Syb, do you want to tell people about the main channel before we sign off for this week?
Yes, check out the Triple S League on the main channel. We always have some good stuff going there. We've got we've got several more Hogwarts themed live shorts.
Oh, they're so good.
And they are pretty funny. I think they are pretty funny. So if you think they're funny, please watch them and please leave a comment letting us know whether you like how much you like them, and what we can do to be better. Because these are the first live shorts that we've made, like, ever. We did some news live shorts, but these are actual, like, comedy sketch live shorts. If you like them, if you like our sense of humor, let us know. If you think that we could improve them by doing some different things, obviously we need a better camera. A little bit. The one we had was decent, but there was some light issues. But we're full on committed to doing more of them if you guys like them. So please check that out.
Yeah, please do more of them. They're great. And man, I put more time into playing Wolong than playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I was looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy more. It's just a matter of what time I have.
What in what time, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And you guys can find me just on my main channel, just Max Derrat. I'll put links to that channel and the main Triple S League channel in the description box below. Thanks, guys, and until we do this again next week, remember, as always, stay yellow.
Goodbye.